I was growing up in the 70s, I was so self-conscious about my legs that I actually wore jeans to the beach when it was like 100 degrees out. Can you imagine? I made my friends that I was with very uncomfortable, but I was more uncomfortable with the idea of people seeing my legs than I was with the heat. Looking back at how body ideals have shifted through the decades, it's interesting how what was considered acceptable or preferable keeps changing. In the 1950s, we had the hourglass figure ideal, and then in the 60s, it was Twiggy. In the 1980s, we had the supermodel Amazons. And then today, finally, we're seeing more inclusion with natural curves gaining acceptance and being celebrated in popular culture. I'm Rebecca Mielke. As your visual identity guide, I take you on a journey of self-discovery so you can align your inner and outer self, show up confidently, and contribute your gifts to the world. Personal style work isn't about fixing your body. It's about making informed design choices that help you show up as authentically you. Today, we're looking at design choices for the tummy area, but these principles apply to any part of your body you've been told needs fixing. As your first step to self-discovery, I invite you to take my free style personality quiz. You can find the link in the show description or at my website, signaturestylesystems.com. So recently, I've had several clients whose major concern was their tummy area. Now let's look at some design choices that create different effects for your tummy. First, I'll share 7 strategies that can minimize this area if that's your preference. 1, create a diagonal line with either a belt or a waistband. It breaks up horizontal space. It also breaks up vertical space. Diagonal lines, I've said before, are kind of magic. So if you have anything you're self-conscious about, give it a try, a diagonal line. Okay, another technique, number 2, is you can bypass the waist entirely with pieces that skim over rather than hug this area. Number 3, drop your waist with jackets, belts, or yokes. 4, break up the space with design details that draw the eye in different directions. So this can be just something, simple like, something ornamental that's off to the side. Another closely related to diagonals is asymmetry. So you can sort of fake a diagonal line by using something eye-catching, off center. You can use pleats. This is number 5 on each side, and then kind of a little tummy bulge, and then that pleat creates kind of a vertical line, breaks up the area, takes the interest off center. You can, number 6, create dimensional layers that give you more control over your silhouette. It can be like adding, so if you're concerned about your tummy and you add a jacket on top that has a little bit more dimension to it, then it creates balance with the tummy. And like kind of, yeah, balances out the silhouette. Number 7 is to choose darker colors or matte finishes in the area if you want less emphasis on it. I mean, just don't do shiny, don't do bright. Sometimes you can find like an ombre look where it's darker over the tummy and lighter near the face, and that is fantastic. Because you always want to have the emphasis on your face. That's where you are connecting with people. But here's something else to consider. What if you don't need to minimize? What if your tummy can just be part of your silhouette and that's your authentic self-expression? So when we choose to embrace our bodies as they are and dress them artistically rather than hiding them, we're just living out in the world the value that everyone gets to participate. You don't have to have a certain shaped body to be valuable. We're actively resisting the idea that we have to conform to some external standard to be acceptable. So here are three artistic techniques that you can use to highlight your tummy artistically. You can use bias cut fabric that gently flows and follows the curve of the tummy, creating fluid draping that celebrates rather than constricts the natural shape. And then you can balance the tummy with more volume at the hem, like flared pants or skirt, or also, like I was saying earlier, a little bit more volume up top. Um, and you can probably imagine that you've seen all these techniques used, um, both in probably like famous art from times when they were more celebrating women's curves, and then also in like contemporary maternity, where I mean, everybody loves to call out that tummy. I hope I didn't make anybody feel uncomfortable with that statement. Anyway, a second technique is you can choose diagonally draped or wrapped styles that artistically incorporate the tummy's contours into the overall design, just similar to how an artist would emphasize curved lines in a composition. This also has what I was talking about earlier with the diagonal lines and the asymmetry, which are just generally flattering. And then the other idea is you could have something dramatic and ornamental just above the tummy, and then have loose fabric gently sweeping over the tummy. So your personality type might influence which approach feels most natural to you. If you are an ISFJ or an ISTJ, you might feel more comfortable with things you've seen other people wear successfully. With introverted sensing as your dominant function, you tend to rely and feel comfortable with things you've seen before, relying on proven familiar patterns. On the other hand, if you have introverted feeling in your first or second position, and this would be INFPs, ISFPs, ENFPs, and ESFPs, you might feel more comfortable defying conventions in order to express your authentic self. And if you're an ENTP or an ENFP, you might actually enjoy experimenting with different approaches, trying both the minimizing and the highlighting strategies to see what feels right for you in different contexts. Play with it, have fun. The key is this: if you like the look of an outfit that highlights your tummy using good principles of design, you make the world a more accepting place by choosing to wear it. So here's your journaling prompt for this week. Explore the relationship between your personal values and your style choices. What message does hiding or highlighting different parts of your body send about your values? How might your style choices contribute to creating the kind of world you want to live in? Here's some questions to consider. When do you dress to meet others' expectations versus expressing your authentic self? What would it feel like to dress your body artistically rather than focusing on fixing parts of it? How might clothing choices help create more acceptance for others? Thanks for being here for the Signature Style Systems podcast. Have fun being you. I'll meet you back here again real soon.